Venturing forward on an expedition into the icy, radioactive wasteland. We are the survivors of the social justice zombie apocalypse, the few, the brave, the bitchy, attempting to find signs of intelligent life somewhere. Somewhere. With Rantzinger, #1, Rabid Sweater Puppies. All right, so I'm here with Teal Deer. Teal Deer, you can unmute yourself, yeah? Okay.
Yes, I can. Hello. We are here to provide... Oh, I'm getting extra noises. No, go away. Terrible.
Oh,
I had an extra window with the stream open somewhere because I'm absolutely professional like that. Yes, we're here to provide the terrible one-liners today. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and let's see where we go with this. Teal Dare, there may be an issue if you're wearing headphones that the audience won't be able to pick up what we're listening to, so you might have to take the headphones off. But we'll find out. We'll find out.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. But let's try. Let's stream this thing. Let's get stuck in.
Okay, I will begin the glorious screen share, which I will share now.
All right.
And I will take us into the full screen mode, and hopefully this will work. If it doesn't, I will be sad.
Yeah. Well, we'll have
Would you like to introduce this a little bit about what the hell this is, or are we just going to launch into the stupidity?
Well, essentially, Simon Fraser commissioned a video to sell its sweaters, or Sweater Day. And basically all that happens in this video is that a female professor, puts her hair down, puts on a sweater, and is complimented by a male student. But then all hell broke loose because, of course, it's massively sexist rather than just being sort of a little cringy and a little bit silly. And so that's what we're going to deal with. Simon Fraser University and their sweater crisis. Crisis of sweaters. All right. Let's see if this works.
Right. Hopefully it will.
Yeah, no, it's not picking up the sound.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all. See, this is
Holy
why
crap.
Karen has to not wear her headphones. It's the same issue.
Okay. In that case, I'm not actually sure how this is going to work because I can't actually unplug my headphones without, as far as I'm aware, having to completely disconnect my microphone because it's all running through an external sample.
Ooh. Oh, this is interesting. Now we got some serious technical issues that we have to deal with now. Yeah, indeed. Well, falling on her face is basically what we do all the time on this channel, so I'm sure nobody is surprised, except maybe your audience.
They expect full professionalism from me, as I'm sure you can tell by my having the wrong windows open at all times.
Okay, well, I think maybe we can also share. No, we can't do that. You know what? I'm going to try sharing it. Let's see what happens if I try sharing it. Probably my internet will break.
Okay.
In which case we will just have to sojourn this and pick it up another time when we can have a Karen. But
fair enough.
I will attempt this. So maybe
Excellent.
some Mission Impossible music right now. If anyone can. Okay. All right. I got the video.
Excellent.
I'm going to the video screen right now, sharing, presenting to everyone. I can hear it. Can anybody else hear it?
I cannot hear it.
All right, just let me just figure this out.
It's almost like Google doesn't want people to be able to actually stream video to each other.
All right. No, they don't want. That's exactly what they don't want. They don't want people to stream video or discuss it. They just want them to have all of the controls. Because Google is YouTube now, right?
Yes, they are. I'm wondering, can I... I'm wondering if I can send audio.
Let me try.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, that's not gonna help. All right. Let me try playing it now and see if this works. Okay.
Expect a university to distribute.
There we go.
Yes, Chad?
Nice sweater.
SFU emailed this video to its community to promote National Sweater Day, a worldwide campaign to conserve energy.
Okay, just let me make sure that I get the as much volume on this, and I'll start from the beginning. All right. So did you hear that?
Yes,
everyone hear that?
I can
Okay,
hear
good.
this.
All right, good. Then we can do this thing. Just peek up when you want me to pause, and I will make sure that I pause between 15 and 20 seconds. All right. Okay, I think that we have resolved all of the issues. Let's do it.
It's not the kind of video you'd expect a university to distribute.
Miss Pinkham,
Yes, Chad?
my sweater.
SFU emailed this video to its community to promote National Sweater Day, a worldwide campaign to conserve energy.
Thank you.
It's cringy, like you were saying.
It is.
It's sort of silly, but it is not. Any stretch of the imagination is this offensive. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the mentality that finds this offensive. Of course, they will describe what they find offensive in a moment. So let's continue this. Oh, for frick's sake! Google is okay. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
But the 30-second video is getting attention for its portrayal of faculty rather than environmental issues.
She giggles when the student flirts with her. She's playing solitaire on her computer. I mean, there are so many things.
Okay. All right. I just want to give a rant from my own life. My father is a geophysicist, and he's actually a really, really brilliant one. He literally has a formula named after him. And my childhood, throughout my entire childhood, he would either be creating, doing mathematical problems, or he would be playing solitaire. When I saw that woman playing solitaire, that female professor playing solitaire on her computer, I didn't think, oh my God, she's a slacker. I thought, wow, she's one of those brilliant people and who works at a particular level of brilliance that can only be sustained 3 hours a day, and the rest of the day they're playing solitaire. Because being that brilliant is difficult. I didn't actually think, oh my God, she's just a doofus who does nothing all day. And I'm really surprised because this is a physicist who's talking now. She is a physicist, and she's complaining about this. It makes me think that she's just a really shitty physicist if she hasn't experienced this situation. What, do you not have that 3 brilliant hours a day? You're just constantly doing mediocre work? Like, it made me feel less like this is what's so annoying. In creating this, you are projecting this stereotype of women, in particular female academics, as being joyless, humorless, what is the right word? Prudes. Just so focused on judgmentalness rather than actual brilliance. Like, what real physicist would give a crap about this? Or even not recognize that their colleagues, when they're not being brilliant, need to do something a little bit more rote so that they can capture those flashes of brilliance. Or have those flashes of brilliance. I mean, you've never seen your colleagues play solitaire? I thought it was hilarious. It was cute. For me, it was cute because it reminded me of a brilliant person that I have known in my life taking a break from being brilliant. But no, we have to recast this as being some sort of a statement on women's stupidity. And you've never seen that. You've never seen your brilliant colleagues do this kind of shit. Sorry.
No, that sounds about right. I mean, first of all, I'd actually like to make a couple of observations here, although I am going to back up what you've just said about this whole sort of brilliant minds can just act like absolute children sometimes and just play games and all that sort of stuff. Yes, this absolutely happens, and this is something which I think a lot of people don't seem to realize if they're not in the field of like science or anything like that. I mean, a personal anecdote here. Because of what I do, I spend a lot of time surrounding people like this. And there was one time when we watched a little humorous video. It just kind of made the rounds, and it involved a peacock. And for about an hour afterwards, all that happened was just we would just sit making peacock noises at each other. You'd be getting on with your work, and then you just have like a just from across, just just because. This is absolute silliness for no fucking reason. Because why wouldn't you? Because when you're doing shit like that, it's like, no, I'm going to do this now because it's funny.
Yeah.
Because why not? But so people who can do shit like that, you do just do some of the most ridiculous shit sometimes because it's, you know, it's fun. Why not? You can't be constantly highly strung and constantly working at maximum output all the time. It's fucking ridiculous. Secondly, just on the point of showing how observant this physicist is, physicist in quotes here, if you back the video up, she's got a dual monitor setup. Only one of them has solitaire. The other one has what looks like a Word document open. So it's possible she's actually in the middle of something and is maybe taking a break, self-imposed break here. And also, look at this. She's in her office. She's supposed to be a member of the faculty. So if she's in her office, maybe she's on a lunch break. Maybe she's arrived early. Maybe she's staying. Maybe it's the end of the day and she's hanging around, got half an hour between this and a meeting or something, and it's just like, hey, fuck it, I'm going to play solitaire for a little bit. Or maybe she's doing some emails or something afterwards. I mean, look, there is a second monitor right there. You can see it. There is a Word document open there. I'm not sure if it's Word. It's hard to tell because of the resolution of what we're looking at there.
It looks like some text that's up
there. But
there
is something text-based open, and it's either a reader or it's some sort of writer. So she's definitely either reading something, researching something, or writing something. So just because one monitor has solitaire open on it, that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that she's doing.
Yeah.
But I love that that's what they look at and that's what they instantly jump to. I mean, oh, yeah, because, you know, faculty and scientists and people like this, they just work all the time. They never need a break or anything like that.
Yeah, well, I thought it was, like I said, it reminded me of possibly one of the most brilliant people in my life, which was my father, and he would do this all the time, you know, and he worked, but the level when you're working at a really, really high level of intellectual effort, you can't sustain it all day. You need to take breaks, and usually when you do take breaks, like you were saying, Teal there, you usually do something ridiculous or rote. You know, and you just to relax, because it just takes that much effort to be, and that's what I thought. It was adorable when I saw this. In fact, I actually didn't find this. I probably didn't find this particular commercial as cringe-worthy as you did, Teal there. I thought that the solitaire was freaking adorable, and it really endeared me to this commercial because it reminded me of something from my own life, which I think it's a little bit cringy, but at the same time, it was sort of like it captured some of that awkward academic quality that I remember from my own life, you know, and that I appreciated. Shall we continue?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I found it really cringy was just because it's like, yeah, it is like some student like kind of chatting up one of their teachers a little bit, which, yeah, that is a bit cringy, but, you know, it does actually happen. Like, both males will do that to females and females will do that to males. I mean, it's intrapersonal flirting and whatnot, even between student and faculty in universities, is a thing that does happen. It's like sort of a subconscious thing that, you know, not everyone is actually going to act on it, but this is something which a lot of the social justice and feminists don't seem to realize, that flirting is actually kind of like general part of human interaction. Like, men do it with women, women do it with men, women do it with women, and men do it with men. It's just done in different ways and slightly different methods.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes I wonder, they seem to, the mentality, the ideology that they embrace seems slightly reptilian. So maybe they don't understand how mammals conduct themselves.
Yeah, they don't seem to realize that not all flirting actually carries intent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. The other thing, yeah, I found the student teacher thing to be a little bit cringy, and I also found it sort of interesting because no feminist recognized or remarked upon the fact that in this context, it's something called what feminists call rape by, or sexual abuse by, a position of power, by influence. Sexual abuse by influence, I believe, is what it's called. Mary Koss titled it, and it's a situation where a professor will have sex with their student. In her case, was only a male professor having sex with a female student, or have any kind of sexual attention for their student. And of course, the student is being abused because the professor is in a position of power over them. So, I mean, it's surprising to me that feminists didn't say anything about that. No, it isn't surprising at all. I'm being sarcastic. But yeah, because this is a professor who is expressing a sexual interest or receiving sexual interest from a student who she has power over. No comment on that. That's okay. I guess sexual coercion by influence, or whatever they called it, sexual coercion by status, whatever Lacey Green called it. That's not a problem here. It's not a problem because it's a woman with a guy.
Yeah, that's how it works. I'm glad we're all on board with this.
But you know, I didn't actually, like, I don't really have a problem with it either. Just personally, I'm just saying that, you know, there's a little hypocrisy there.
Yeah, it really is. But this, I'm not even going to try and like defend this advert thing, because I do find the whole thing just cringy as fuck. But it's just the scale of the reaction to it that annoys me.
Indeed. Well, I mean,
let's go.
Yeah, let's. I probably should move forward to where I stopped. I think it was at about here.
Oh, that face.
Yes.
Flirts with her. She's playing solitaire on her computer. I mean, there are so many things wrong with that video.
Physicist and lecturer Sarah Johnson says instructors are in an uproar.
Couldn't believe it. It was just so surprising that SFU would put out something that was so clearly sexist and offensive.
So clearly sexist and offensive. I'm just letting that wash over me for a bit. I mean, seriously, it's just a woman putting on a sweater and getting a compliment from a man. That's it. Like, this is what we've come to.
Well, it's sexist and offensive. You know, a man looked at a woman and noticed something about her, and he's a rapist.
But when I watch this, it just makes me feel. Sometimes I wonder: are these people advancing this stuff seriously? Like, seriously, this is what we find offensive now. This is the bar. Because I wonder if this could be like secretly an ad for their frickin' sweaters or something, or they're trying to create a controversy to increase interest in this sweater day idea where people turn down the thermostat and wear a sweater instead. Like, maybe this isn't real. They really aren't actually advancing the idea that this is offensive. They actually are trying to create some sort of artificial outrage in order to get more attention. Like
possibly. I'm trying to shift in my mind how this works alongside the sexist air conditioning. You know, it's sexist and patriarchal oppression because the air conditioning is higher in offices because men are forced to wear suits, which are generally cause your bodies to get warmer, and generally they have like sort of the ability to produce more heat because of greater body mass than women. Therefore, the temperature is normally set higher. Therefore, women are oppressed because they're cold in their offices. I'm trying to pass that with this. Just in my mind, how does this? These two things are like? I'm not even sure how they work. I feel like I've got a square peg in a round hole, and I'm still like, the feminists have made it fit. And it's not even square peg round hole. You know, like you get those like ring puzzles in like Christmas crackers and those shitty little wooden ones that's like, oh yeah, it all goes back together honestly. And you're kind of looking at it and thinking, there is a way to do this, and I know there's a way to do this, but I just don't know how this fits together. This is how I'm looking at these things.
Okay, so how the problem with the sexist air conditioning fits together with turning the heat down in the winter. So
and just putting on a jumper, yeah, because, you know, it's like, put on a jumper, oh no, that's sexist, women should have control of the air conditioning, and this one's like, no, just turn it down and put on a jumper to save energy. So it's like we've got feminists saying, no, it's sexist, you need to turn the thermostat up because women should never experience discomfort or have to put on a sweater. We're defending this, and then this is like, no, we should. I don't know, maybe it's the same message.
I think
women shouldn't have to turn this thermostat down and put on sweaters.
Yeah, I think your confusion is that you're I think that the problem is that they didn't use that angle in their analysis here. Maybe you're expecting them to have used the angle that air conditioning / central heating is sexist, and they didn't. They didn't actually say, you know, don't make don't make women wear sweaters. Make entropy not be a thing.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. Maybe because the physicist individual in question isn't so incompetent that she would assert something like that.
Possibly.
You actually fall down on the side of entropy. Yeah, entropy is a thing. It's not sexist. It's just a thing. It happens. We're not gonna, or unless she buys into the feminist physics, in which, you know, men can't understand fluid dynamics because only women can. Which, like, well, where are the formulas on fluid dynamics coming out of the distaff half of the population? Nowhere, I think, none. They're not. Well, maybe this woman has done a formula on fluid dynamics. Okay, let's move on.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, I feel like I'm losing interest in the sound of my own voice.
And demeaning to female faculty.
This video was inappropriate. It shouldn't have been posted. And we regret that it was posted.
SFU pulled the video within hours, issuing an apology soon after. Officials say an outside agency produced the video 2 years ago, but it's only promoted it now.
Okay. It's only promoted it now. So it only noticed this now? I'm thinking I'm getting a little bit more into the idea that this is just staged.
Or just a staged non-traversy for the sake of, hey, our advert sucks. We really need to make more people look at it.
Yeah. I
But
want.
isn't this just going to cause the feminist boycott of their... Oh, no, wait, it doesn't matter because feminists never buy anything. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking of is, according to Theron, who's the president of Simon Fraser Advocacy for Boys and Men, when she was dealing with trans issues on the campus, the people involved or helping her were actually trying to close down men's washrooms. Seriously. Like they would keep women's washrooms as being women's washrooms, and then they would say, well, why don't we turn men's washrooms, all men's washrooms, into gender-neutral washrooms? All of them. So on a campus where something like that was seriously advocated, the idea that just getting rid of the men's right to privacy when they go to the bathroom was seriously advocated by certain parties, that kind of sexism, because that I would honestly say is sexism. The idea that one gender should give up its right to a space so that they can do things that are generally private in order to accommodate another group. Fair enough. Trans people should have, bathrooms that are gender neutral, but none of the female bathrooms were expected to maintain the privilege of having their own privacy, whereas men were expected to give it up. And something that sexist could be seriously advocated by the community of Simon Fraser. And this is what creates a fervor. A fervor is a professor with the usual stereotype of the absent-minded professor who's just, in my opinion, just taking a break from her work to play something silly, getting a compliment from a male student. This is what they choose to focus on. This is the sexism they choose to focus on. Anything to add to that before we continue?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, this to me just kind of shows that this just shows the level of issue that we're dealing with like modern feminism. That this is what it comes down to. Like some guys like, oh, nice sweater. Yeah. This is where society has gone. God damn that toxic masculinity.
Yeah, the toxic sweater puppy admiring thing that men do. So horrible. I mean, it wasn't even that revealing a thing. It was just pink, which is, I think, harmless. I guess that's another fucking... I'm surprised they didn't do the pink thing. God,
Yeah, oh, a typical gender signifier. Look at that. Oh, you're wearing the pink thing. That's terrible.
yeah. Aside from the fact, well, it is sort of slightly terrible because it's that god awful sort of day glow Pepto Bismol pink. Just reminds you of every time you had a stomach flu when you were a kid. At least it does me. Anyway, let's move on.
The video in question really does not reflect university values. SFE really is an institution that's known for its equitability and inclusivity, and we were very aware that this video really did not reflect that at all.
Our university also does not support energy conservation. We prefer to keep our thermostats full blast 24/7, even in the summer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, I see. I finally clued into what you were saying. Yes, you have the environmental lobby at odds with the sexist air conditioning, because one would imagine that one would want to keep the temperature at exactly the temperature that women are comfortable with without imposing patriarchal cardigans on them. So, in other words, we should spend the extra money on fuel in order to make sure women are comfortable. So the environmental position is in direct contrast with the feminist position, which is at all times women should not be thermally challenged.
God damn, I want to see an environmental feminist opinion on this.
Yeah, this would be like the perfect trifecta.
Because you know, the environmental feminists, they are the ones who say like, oh, climate change is all men's fault because men invented all the technology and women would never have done anything that would be so damaging to the world. And then we have this where it's like, no, women need to keep the thermostat up high so that they never need to wear more clothes than they are comfortable with because patriarchy.
Yeah.
I would love to see, and get an environmentalist in there. I would just love to sit and watch this little like triangle of opinion just going between these three people. It would be an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah, yeah. Sell tickets, get a ring.
Yeah. But I just wonder if that guy, like, because he's clearly like lost the plot on what the message of this thing was. The message was save the environment, don't use fuel unnecessarily. This is a value which is completely at odds with the belief of this university. Okay, so your university is advocating for wasting energy, using as much as you can, total disregard for environmental well-being or anything like that. You know, God damn it, you shitlord, why won't you just think of the deer?
Well, yeah, like you were saying, it would be interesting to find the two people, or the environmental feminists who would advocate that you should not be using fuel unnecessarily, and find the feminists who say that women, air conditioning and apparently also central heating is sexist unless it's set to exactly the temperature that women need, which probably would require, in this case, more fuel being expended. But yeah, I like that idea. Feminist death sports. Fight to the death. I'm going to
go. That idea. I wonder who was in the room. Who thought that was okay?
Right now.
Oh God, who thought that was okay? TL dear.
Who did think this was okay? Who thought an environmental message was okay? Because fundamentally, it is an environmental message. Who thought that telling women to stop wasting fuel was acceptable?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you know what she's groping towards? Of course, it's the patriarchal oppressors who are in that room. Why wasn't she there, being part of this particular ad campaign?
Yeah. Why were there not in it? Because if there were more women in there, they would never have done this. Because no woman has ever fantasized about a younger man or anything like that, ever.
No woman has ever fantasized about an attractive.
Oh, actually, this is perfect. I talk about researching pornography far too much on this channel. There was a legit reason for this, though, and it was a study which was conducted fucking ages ago, and I can't remember why I was looking up, but it was something where someone referenced something like a really ambiguous sex statistic to say, like, oh, like, men are fine with hurting women during sex, and it was like a study that was like looking at the frequency of teenage anal sex, and it was like, really, that's what you're going to use to tell me that women tell you that their first time hurts? Yeah, no, teenagers don't know how to anal. We know this, but that's besides the point. But I ended up looking up like loads of sort of oh yeah, it was to do with like violence and pornography and things like that. So I ended up looking up loads of like pornography statistics, like to do with who was consuming what kinds of media, because it was like oh, men always consume the really hyper violent kinds and women don't, and things like that. And I actually found out, and this is how, remember on Rantzinger like a couple of days ago, I mentioned all the about what women look at. And actually, what was really interesting was it was female users searched disproportionately more than male users for terms like young and teen. Women actually sought that out more than men did. Now, you can say it's a slightly disproportionate representation because it was a study conducted by Pornhub, and obviously because it's online pornography, there's going to be a larger sample of men than women because of their user base. But I just found that really, really interesting, that women were the ones who were actually searching for younger material, specifically searching for young and teen.
Well, I'm actually not surprised. Like, I mean, to take us to a dark place, there is a lot of female adult predation of young men, like really young men, you know, under the age of consent, basically. And this is something that's really been hidden quite a bit. But in this case, I mean, the guy is in university, so he's over the age of consent, and he's obviously gone through puberty, one would assume. So it's a bit different, but the fantasy is there. The idea that women wouldn't be interested in a younger lover, especially someone who's maybe not as used to getting sexual attention as a female academic might not be. You know, it's the fantasy is there, and I'm surprised that this became something that was so sexist, because it is the pairing of a younger man with an older woman. You know, that's, I mean, it might make some people cringe, but it is a fantasy for women, and it's a reflection of the idea that women don't necessarily lose their sex drive as they get older. And you would think that feminists would be okay with that if they had any kind of just relax and just let humans be humans. Why can't you just let this be a fantasy and just let this older woman explore that fantasy and just be okay with it and not just focus like a laser on any possible thing that could be offensive? That's why I wonder if this is really not about offense, but about trying to create some sort of fake controversy for views and attention to this issue. This guy seems really fake somehow. You seem fake, sir. You seem fake. Let's watch a little more though. Unless you have something to say, Tilder.
No, it's just there was someone in the chat who was like, "Oh no, it's wrong. Women search for lesbian more." Well, yes, that's very possible, but it doesn't. That doesn't contradict that they search for young as well. You know, young lesbian is also a category, which I haven't researched.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, there's also like someone in the chat said that older women are a fantasy too. I mean, it's just like,
yeah, they are.
Younger men, those are fantasy things. Can't we just be okay with some aspects of our sexuality without going overboard with the prudery? Because this is what this is starting to feel like. It's starting to feel like, no, we have to be upset at anything sexual. Any sexual situation, any kind of flirtation, any kind of fantasy that doesn't just abide by the extremely restrictive strictures of Sharia law. Oh, sorry, feminism. Because Sharia law is so strict. Feminism is so strict about what we're allowed to be sexual and what context we're allowed to be sexual, and it just feels like we're returning to like Puritanism. To me, this is just an invitation to be human. But apparently, I mean, everything about this makes me feel that this woman is human. She enjoys being flirted with an older or a younger man. She's enjoying a game of solitaire. She just seems like a human being to me. And they're turning this into this, that she's taking away her humanity and replacing it with this idea that she has to be an icon of female chastity for this age, which apparently is, you know, not having anything sexual, not being called, having complete respect as an icon of academic virtue or some shit. Like, can't we just be humans? All right.
No, we need to be dear. It's much better. Off we go.
You're gonna say that.
It's
All
too
right.
easy. Let's go.
Deer or peacocks, I guess.
We're in an investigative phase.
The school's pledging to put protocols in place to avoid offensive material in the future and try to avoid further damage to its reputation.
Thank you.
Penny Daflaw, CTV News,
This is just a compliment.
Vancouver.
I think it's the like second no thank you that he says that they're trying to like portray as like this sort of sexual predatory thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really the bit that they're griping about. Like, I think if you removed that line, like they wouldn't be pushing it as hard as they are. Giggity.
No, they should push it harder. Nice sweater, puppies, miss. Can I see them wrestle? All right. This, what more can be said about this? Really, it's don't stare too long at the abyss, folks. You'll lose your brains. You'll lose your mind. Because how could they find that? We have reached critical mass of inoffensive. Like this ad may be cringy, it may be aesthetically appalling in some way, but it is not offensive. It's not offensive to present a female professor as being a sexual being, or liking a compliment, or even being referred to as miss rather than professor. The whole idea behind that was that he was focusing on her sexual being instead of just focusing on her academic being, which is like, what, isn't that what you want? You want smart sex women to also be seen as sexy? Like, when did that stop being a thing? When did that start being problematic?
I think it's just the overall sort of sex negative arc that modern feminism seems to be taking. It's so weird. Like, there seems to be such a divide in feminism. Like, it seemed to be so very pro sex, and there was always like this proper sex negative militant lesbian side, but over the years it just seems to be switching, and it just seems to be that this sex negative side is just coming up more and more and more and just growing. Giggity. And the other side, the sex positive side, is just shrinking. Presumably it's shot its load and lost interest completely. And it's just rolled over and gone to sleep or something. I don't know.
I think maybe the thing that happened was the women who feminism appeals to realized they could get more flies with the fly swatter, than they could with honey. It's like the feeling of being able to judge someone and feeling morally superior over them, I guess, feeling morally superior over men ended up being more attractive than the idea of just enjoying their company, and maybe their sexual company as well, and just being okay with being sexual beings. That sort of got lost because it's just more fun to judge people and make them feel like crap.
There's a possible explanation. It doesn't actually seem that unlikely.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know how much more we can talk about. This was a really, really short one. It was intended to be really short. Essentially, the background of this is my husband brought this up. My husband, Jonathan, for those of you who've been following Honey Badger Radio, brought this up. And he said, sit down and watch this. And he would not let me speak during it. Bastard. Horrible, horrible bastard. So I brought it up with Teal Deer, and we sort of decided to do an emergency rant zerker to process the negative feels. Which is mostly revolve around, how can this shit be real? What is this place? I feel like an alien. Like, when did this become offensive? When did a compliment on a sweater become offensive? When? Why? How? Where am I? What's going on? What's the score? What's next? You want to say anything to that, Teal Deer?
I've had enough of the cold, icy, radioactive wasteland. I'm going back to the Badger Cave.
Yeah, okay.
Giggity.